Hi, welcome to In and Around Computer. In this video, we are going to see what is a MAC address. MAC addresses are a 12-digit hexadecimal number assigned to each device connected to the network. Being specified during the device manufacturing, the MAC address is often found on the device network interface card. So the network interface card of the device will have the MAC address, and these addresses work with the NIC in your device that lets you connect wirelessly to the internet. And these are used to identify which device is which on the local network, or else we can say it uniquely identifies the device in the local network. So that the data gets sent to your computer and not to your roommate's smartphone or any other device. That is, data for you should come to your device and not to your roommate's device. So for these, the MAC addresses are used, which uniquely identifies the device. That is, which device is which in the local network. Another fact about these MAC addresses are that the devices can have more than one MAC addresses because they get one for every place they connect to the internet. That is, if your laptop has an Ethernet port and Wi-Fi, there would be different MAC addresses for the Wi-Fi connection and the Ethernet connection. So if you want to know what is the term Ethernet, you can check my video on the type of Ethernet devices, and the Bluetooth also uses its own MAC address. So this also you must consider about the MAC addresses. The other names used for these MAC addresses are networking hardware address, burnt-in address, and physical address, and the Ethernet hardware address. So these are all the facts about these MAC addresses. Before going to see how these MAC addresses work, we can see what the difference between MAC address and the IP address. So this MAC address designates the physical location of the device within the local network, whereas the IP address signifies the device global or internet accessible identity. So the manufacturer of this NIC card provides the MAC address, whereas the internet service provider supplies the IP address. So some of you will have confusion in the MAC address and IP address. This will be helpful for you. And the IP address of the device mainly helps in identifying the connection of the network, that is using which the device is connecting to the network. So this is identified using the IP address, and the MAC address on the other hand ensures the computer device physical location. It helps us to identify a given device on the available network uniquely. So these are the differences between the MAC address and the IP address. Now we can see how does a MAC address work. So when data packets from the internet hit a router, that router needs to be able to send them to the right device on the network. So this is done using the MAC addresses. That is, the router assigns a private IP address to each network connected device on that device based on the device MAC address. So your this that private IP address is totally different from the IP address that your internet service provider provides you, and your router tracks the outbound data requests. So that is outbound data requests, in the sense the data requests that go outside the router. So where from the devices in the network. So when the data for the request, that is comes back, it comes back to the through the router can attach the correct IP to the correct private IP to the data packets, then send them along to whichever device MAC address matches that private IP. That is, whichever device requested the data, so for that the data should pass to that device correctly. So for that the router will use the private IP, and it attaches the correct private IP to the data packets, then send them along to whichever device MAC address matches that private IP. So by this the data correctly reaches the device that requested the data. So this is done using the device's MAC address. Apart from being used to send the data to the right place, these MAC addresses also used to secure the connection. That is, the router also uses the MAC addresses to secure your connection by only accepting traffic from devices with MAC addresses that it recognizes. So this is called MAC filtering. So for this also these MAC addresses are used. These are also used by technicians to troubleshoot connection problems on the network. Because they are unique to each hardware device, it is easier to pinpoint which device of hardware connected to the network is sending and receiving data by looking at the MAC address. So from there they can see which device is having trouble connecting. So for this the MAC addresses are used. They are used to pinpoint the device that have trouble connecting to the network. So these are the various usage of these MAC addresses.